Hi, and thanks for tuning in to Murdoch's Music Minute again. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, probably the most prolific rock band at the moment on this planet, have released a new album. It's called Phantom Island, and they've taken their time a little bit, at least comparatively. An album that features orchestral arrangements, strings, and even a horn section. But is this a place worth staying at, or has it turned out a musical wasteland? Let's find out in this fresh review. The band members have stated that a lot of the tracks, or basically all the material that we now find on Phantom Island, had been more or less developed alongside the previous album, Flight B741, but that when they looked at this material, they felt that something else was needed, and this led to the idea of orchestral arrangements. So the songs that we find on Phantom Island are the more laid back ones instead of the no nonsense boogie rock tracks on Flight B741. When I heard that King Gizzard would be doing a kind of orchestral rock album, I was wondering if they would go full progressive or orchestral psychedelic sound, or whether this would be a low-key, maybe exotic affair. None of this really holds true for Phantom Island, but what we can say is that this is more or less very chilled, laid back rock music with a bit of soul influences, a bit of sunshine pop, and, well, the orchestral arrangements written by a British or an English composer called Chet Kelly, according to my super clever notes. So we land on Phantom Island with the title track, Phantom Island. This one's got a great, slightly psychedelic swagger. What is the most striking feature of the song for me is a kind of keyboard arpeggio that sounds like colorful rain in the rainforests, that will give you a bit of a fever, or in other words, it sounds like an arpeggio that the Doors could have done with an e-piano. The orchestra is in a cool 60s cocktail lounge mode and gives a richness and texture to the sound of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. It's a song about going insane or hallucinating, like the pilot of Flight B741, who has got the illusion of a paradise island, only to find out that he's actually crash landing. This ambiguity between happy, relaxed music and rather dark or melancholic, angsty lyrics is often at play on this album, and in its best moments, this combination makes for some great music like this opening track. Crashed or not, the island party is at full swing with the next track, Dead Stick. This is really a fun rocker with a high energy horn section. It's the most up-tempo track on the album, also maybe the track that sounds the most like something that could have been on the previous album. Also, themes from the album that came before are continued here. The lyrics are reflective and maybe could also be read as an image, a picture of the band members and their personal lives, also the life as a band, and maybe the fear that one day everything will come to a sudden stop. This all is packaged in the most extrovert and infectious song of the album. The next song, Lonely Cosmos, is a more pensive, introspective tune. This time the strings, predominantly cellos, I believe, are more melancholic, almost longing in their sound. It all starts very sparsely with only an acoustic guitar and vocals. But as soon as the whole band joins in, the sound becomes a bit more cheerful, the tone becomes more upbeat. This track ponders questions of loneliness and feeling removed, detached, maybe also while being on tour as a band, but also the more cosmic question if we are alone in the universe. This is a very well written song. I like the sound and the production of it, and for me personally, it's the track where the blending of the band and the orchestra works best. The album continues with Eternal Return, that opens with very cinematic, sweeping strings, almost a little bit like Pink Floyd meets a James Bond soundtrack. The song has got a more breezy, bouncy, mid-tempo groove. This song most openly addresses the constant life on the road as a touring musician and wanting to return to one's loved ones. It's a very heartfelt and personal song in terms of lyrics, and overall a very, very nice track. Panpsych is a very chilled and breezy sounding track, the most upbeat song on the album. It's about fighting mental pressure, finding one's own zen. Horns, woodwinds, and strings emphasize this relaxed and joyful spirit. Song number 6, Space Sick, has got a similar sentiment as Lonely Cosmos, but this time using the metaphor of an astronaut and traveling through space to depict again the feeling of loneliness and the feeling of being far removed from all other people, especially the people that you care about, your family, your loved ones, and your friends. This one's even floatier and more relaxed than the songs before. It's also a track where you at least get vague hints of the usual heavy psychedelia that King Gizzard and the Lizard have become known for. A little bit of sonic beef is only added by an occasional distorted guitar. I quite like this track, even though it's not the most essential one. The following Aerodynamic follows the sonic path established by the songs before, and at this point into the album, to be honest, it's a bit more of the same. It's yet again a laid back, mid-tempo soft rocker with a bit of orchestra in the background. And again, there's a more energetic, bluesy, southern rock break in the style of Flight B741. Not bad at all, but the songwriting sees King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard a bit on autopilot, to be honest. Sea of Doubt also features more of the southern rock vibe that was the very DNA of the album prior to Phantom Island, with dreamy harmony vocals and the orchestra added as some flavor in the background, I would say. In this song, we see a more reflective, matured, but also a bit insecure band, and that's a theme that runs through almost the entire Phantom Island album. Then we get to Silent Spirit, which has a bit of a more jazzy, soulful vibe. The orchestra adds some great texture. However, this lack of true choruses, or those rather open song structures with each member taking vocal duties, or, well, not all the members, but most of the members of King Gizzard taking turns with singing their respective passages, makes the songs on Phantom Island a little bit interchangeable. In the lyrics, again, we see a more personal message, a message to the band members' children this time, also a feeling of resentment, but the loungy 1960s inspired orchestration veils this melancholic basic mood a little bit. Grow Wings and Fly is the name of the final track, which again addresses the band members' children, or it's about their children growing up and thus sort of teaching their dads. Here we get recurring themes, or themes are taken up again from the album Butterfly 3000. The song, while yet again lacking a really memorable chorus or melody, is a fine finale to the album, also an unsuspected, more up-tempo finale, and a nice wrap-up bringing together all the elements of the album in an uplifting track. So, after all, I'd say it's not a waste of time to go to Phantom Island. And after being wowed in the beginning, however, a bit of a sleepiness sets in, maybe like a strangely pleasant fever dream with few exciting, memorable moments. A trip to Phantom Island can be pleasant, but in the long run, this place apparently doesn't have too many sights to see and not much souvenirs to bring home with you. Still, hanging out a bit, letting your mind rest or wander, also can be nice from time to time. And with the pace of King Gizzard's album releases and their non-stop touring in the current years, it's understandable that the band themselves is longing for something a bit more relaxed, something maybe less ambitious, and something more reflective. They don't sound exactly exhausted here, but definitely the fire and the crunch that you got on earlier King Gizzard albums is missing from Phantom Island. And I'm actually aware that the band has never claimed that the Phantom Island was meant to be a total orchestral pop album. But still, the orchestra arrangements are nice and pleasant, but very often they feel like they just were added to already finished songs that are more or less in the vein of the Southern rock from Flight B741, but are maybe just a little bit more experimental and a little bit more laid back or psychedelic than the rockers on Flight B741. So I would actually like to see King Giz do more with an orchestra, go down the full orchestral pop route, or do something more experimental with the orchestra. Here on Phantom Island, the orchestra is used to add some more color to often meandering songs. Also, this more open, kind of personal diary, stream of consciousness type of songwriting the band has developed over the last couple of albums make the songs very often blur into each other a little bit. So I'm missing some more memorable, sharper moments in terms of songwriting. The first three tracks on Phantom Island clearly are the best ones, but I also like Panpsych, for example. On the whole, Phantom Planet is a flat 7 out of 10 for me. It's worthwhile, especially if you are a King Giz fan. It's above average, but at the same time also a bit unremarkable in their catalog. And I think it wouldn't be wrong if King Gizzard took a longer break, took their time a little bit as a band until the next project, whatever that is going to be. So that's my travelogue after a couple of listens to the album. As mentioned, this is a fresh review. So, what were your impressions of Phantom Island, or did you have a crash landing? More adventures to come. I'm seeing King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard doing a rave set, so that's going to be purely electronic, I guess, in November here in Vienna. More Murdoch Music Minutes to come with either fresh reviews or my thoughts on rather old albums. Thanks for joining, thanks for watching, and see you again.